All right, so last time we did a walk in place. Now we're going to do a walk across the surface. Really, the reason why, even when I was like training on new animators at a game company or whatever, I would have them do these exercises just to kind of, get a little bit more comfortable with the software. And these are what I would do. What I mean by new animators is a lot of them had phenomenal portfolios coming in. I'm talking about people that I helped promote from QA testing, or they were like got into as an AP and they just wanted to get into the animation side and they were looking for ways to get in. And so we would give them these little exercises to help them break into animation, and they would just block things out. And so we're going to do some very basic, like, and really, to be honest with you, just basic animation stuff. So here you can see I have this Richard Williams, these screenshots from the Richard Williams book. And what we're going to do is we're going to essentially go with this here, which is he's got these breaking down on 12s, which is like doubling it up. So this is one half of a step as this foot goes down and it slides all the way back. So we're going to be doing a 24 frame walk cycle here. So let's see. So in our settings here, go ahead and select frame rate 24 frames here under output. And our resolution is fine at 1920 by 1080. And then down here at the bottom, go ahead and switch this to, let me move this out of the way. Switch this to timeline, which is there. And I'm going to hit A and see if I could just hit A in here and hit X to delete all these frames that are on here. All right, so let's go ahead and start with just posing out the legs. And I'm going to make this a pretty simple assignment. We're not going to be using Graph Editor or anything yet. We're just kind of learning really how to pose. So let's focus just on the legs for now. And what we're doing is, if you watch the Blender movie, which has this character across, we're just going to do a simple two-step across animation. I don't want to use any extra funny tools like flipping or anything like that. I just want you guys to get used to, get a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, and then just enjoy sort of moving the model and then being conscious of where your keys are. I don't even want you for now to be using auto key. I just want you to get comfortable with keying. All right, so let's go ahead and just move this front foot forward. So I'm going to hit shift and space, and I'm just going to keep going here to move like this, and I'm going to just move this foot forward. Now, something I like to do, if you watch the last video, is I'm going to make this 0.25, and then I'm going to make this minus 0.25 on the y-axis. The reason for that is, at the very beginning, it helps me to conceptualize things when the values are sort of even. Now for this, let's go ahead and see, we'll do 40 here, and then we'll do minus 40 here. And I'm going to grab the center point here. I'm going to move it down a little bit so we get a little bend in our knees. Just a slight bend. So notice we keyed. Here, let me go ahead and hit my X so that we're looking at the side view. Now, we haven't keyed anything yet, and we want to. But we moved this center point. So I'm going to hit I on that, and that'll set a key there. I here, here, and here. So I selected this foot controller here, this rotation foot controller here. This handles foot roll. And I'm just making sure that each one of those are keyed. So just hitting I gives me a little bit more control. And again, this center point here. By focusing just on those three for now, it gives me it just sort of helps me to, not get too crazy. Now, if you scroll your wheel in and out, you can zoom here. Now, something else I want to point out is if you hit I and you get that pop-up, you want to, let's move this down here. I think you have to be in object mode. Let me see if you can do it in pose mode. I think it's object animation here, and then changing key set. And what this will do is, really, we're just going to be using location and rotation. We're not going to be scaling up any of these controllers. If you select that, now when you press I on these things, let me go back to pose mode by hitting tab and going to pose mode. Now, if you hit tab and this doesn't pop up either, remember to go to file or I think it might be under the Blender logo for those of you who are on a Mac. But it's edit and then preferences. And then you just want to go to key map and hit tab for pie menu. I also do, let me see. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's all for now. All right, so let's go to the next pose. Now, when you're going across a surface, that foot goes flat. So I'm just going to hold Alt, and I'm just going to scroll my wheel down to 4, or you can click on 4 here, or you could type a 4 here. And also on the end frame here, you could leave it at 250. I'm just going to go to like 30 for now, just so that we could really zoom in on just that section. So I'm holding Control and scrolling the wheel to pan left and right in the timeline here, and I just scroll the wheel in to zoom. And I just want to focus really on this little section here. So here I am on 4, and you can see the foot goes flat. And what happens on these, so all I'm going to do is hit 0 here, hit enter, because that foot goes flat, and then I'm going to hit I to key that. And then I'm going to pull the hips down a little bit more, and I'm going to start to shift them forward because the weight of the body as we start to move into this pose, and this is super exaggerated, I'm not going to go that far, but the weight of the body starts to, as the foot goes down, it starts, and you move forward, it starts to compensate by squatting down. So let's hit I on that. And then we're going to take this hips on 7. I'm going to kind of leave the foot back here for now. And we could, well, you want to make sure that you're keying everything in sync, right? So like we have this selected in this, and I'm going to hit I to key this so that we're not forgetting about that. And then on 7, I'm going to take those hips, and the weight is distributed on the frontmost leg. I'm going to move that forward and just place that leg here. And then I'm going to grab that foot, and it lifts off of the ground like this. And I'm going to move it here. So let's go in here and select all of these, including the hips, and let's hit I to key that. And then we get something like this. So as our leg is passing, I'm just being very patient. And again, if you start to do auto keying and you start to rush it and stuff, it starts to flip out. So let's go to Cloud Rig here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to IKFK switch, and then the left arm and the right arm, we're just going to move this all the way down to switch those off. All right, so there's our legs for 7. Let's go to our frame 10. So at frame 10, you could see, and all we're doing is 7 plus 3 is 10, so it's the same as the other one. This foot starts to carry forward. And I'm going to go ahead and select both of these. I'm going to hit I to key those. This foot essentially stays where it's at, but those hips, this is where we lose the most balance. So like if you ever watch like a fight, like a UFC fight or whatever, the karate fight, they look for when that leg is about to snap a kick. This is when the body is at the most off center. So let's go ahead and hit I to set a key here. And also notice that the hips are higher here than they are on those other ones. So we're going to really straighten out that leg. And what I'm going to do is take this foot back up to 40. So let's go back to item here. And I'm going to move that back up to 40 and really just kind of push this pose a little bit. And I'm going to hit I to set a key there. And I'm just selecting each one of these, and I'm trying not to forget about them. So there we go. And we're about to fall down. And then we're going to go all the way to frame 13. And I'm going to zero these out. So let's zero this out first. That'll flatten the foot. And let's zero out Z here. Now, where do I want to put this forward? I want to add 50% to the 0.25. So I'm just going to make this 0.75 here. And then I'm going to move the hips, 50% between those. And I'm just going to, for now, hit I to set a key here. I want to make this 40 again, minus 40. I'm going to hit I to set a key there. And then I forget what I had the hips at, so what value that was. So let's make this a minus 0.03. I'm going to hit I to set a key there. And I'm going to go all the way to frame 13. And minus 0.03. I'm going to hit I to set a key there. Sorry that I keep repeating it. It's the, let's see, boom. Now the knee is flipping out there because what we want to do is grab these two things. They're called pull vectors, and we want to pull them all the way out here, just in the direction of the knees. Later, we're going to be using them to animate. And there's 13. Let's make sure that this foot is 40. And let's see the positioning here, 0.25, so that's good. So as long as you can use this like trick where you remember to go 50% of the stride. We're going for a smaller stride because she's kind of a smaller person. And I'm going to do 0.5 here so that I know it's in between those two legs, as strange as that sounds. And let's hit I to set a key. All right. I'm pretty much going to do the same thing on the other side of the leg. If you like to do the following along thing, you can watch this in 2 times the speed and you can follow along. If you feel like you got it, you can stop the video here and you can start your assignment. This is the first part where we're going to be, you're going to do the arms and the legs of this, and then next week we're going to do cleanup. So again, just sort of continuing this, if we look back on this here, and then the week after, we're going to start doing runs and stuff, and then we'll look at compositing this into film. So where do we go from here? Well, it's the same thing, right? Like if we go through, we add 3 to this, so we're at 16 now. And all you're doing is adding 3 to this, and both of these get zeroed out. Remember to key that. And that's the thing that really gets a lot of people. And you just want to kind of stay consistent. So like if this is minus 0.05, is that it? Yeah, there. I'm going to hit I to key that. Then I want to make sure that this is also minus 0.05. And even though this foot doesn't really move much back here, you have to key it. And then this needs to be 40. Oops, sorry, minus 40. Hit I to set a key there. So we have our first step, our second step, and then same thing, right? Like it gets so fun and it gets so meditative. Let's go to frame 19 where you're just like, okay, this foot doesn't really move, but I know it gets zeroed out on here. Let's key that. Let's make sure we key this too, the position of that foot. Otherwise, you're going to get sliding. Let's move these hips here. Let's move these hips up. And we'll do minus 0.02 here. I keep forgetting. Let me hit I to key that. But I keep forgetting what we had this at. Minus 0.03. And then this foot, I'm just going to place it here and move it up. You know what? That seems like really low. Like, I mean, I like the bend in the knee stuff, but let's make sure we're looking at our side view here. What if we just zero that out? It's very straight-legged, very cartoony. Minus 0.02. I kind of like that better. I'm going to actually key it on minus 0.01 here. And I'm going to go to 13. No, that's not. No, it's too low. So we'll just go back to 7 here. And then we'll do minus 0.01 here. And it also, like, people love symmetry. They love symmetry in art. They love symmetry in, like, they think people's faces are beautiful. So by keeping those number values pretty symmetrical, you start to, like, it still gives it a pleasing thing. So when you show it to your art director, he's going to say, yeah, you know, it looks bland or generic, but it's passable, if that makes sense. So that means, like, you have a passable walk cycle and that they can live with it for now. And then on frame 10, this foot moves way forward because it's helping to brace us for that fall when it hits the ground. So let's key that. Let's shift those hips forward. And looks like we got a pretty good straight leg there, but we also want this to be at 40. So I'm going to key this just to hold that pose. And actually, that's not right. Oh, you know what? I didn't key. Sorry, I was like animating the other key. So here's 13 where our foot falls. This gets flattened out. Let's make sure to key that. I'm going to hit I on that, and then I'm going to move the hips down. And we moved it minus 0.05 here. I feel like it's not that low. Anyway, I do like exaggeration, but let's move this down a little bit so we got a little bit more of a bend in the knee. Same thing here. I feel like this should be minus 0.06. And then here is our equivalent to 7. So let's move this back here. And then let's add 3 to that. Don't worry too much. We haven't done anything with the graph editor, so don't worry about the knees popping. And this could use a little bit more of a down here. We'll work on that. There's always a polish phase. And then, so let's just end this video on 25 here, where I'm going to move this. So remember, we're at, in our last pose, which is our last major pose here, we went 0.25 for that back foot, and this one's 0.75. So for the next one, we almost want 1.25. So we're going to move this on 25, 1.25. We're going to zero out this. We're going to make sure we zero this out. And we're going to make this minus 40. So let's key this, these two. And then we want to make sure that this is evenly distributed between both legs. So we're going to do maybe 1 here. I'm going to bring this down. Hit I to set a key, and then we also need to key this back foot. All right, so let's watch this. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Same thing here. You'll notice the eyes are scrolling back in the side of the head. Just grab these guys here. I'm going to go ahead and hit W to grab my selection tool, and then G, and I'm just going to pull these forward. And yeah, we got some funkiness going on with these, but maybe they have to stay just in front of the face. Yeah. If you go too far off, she starts to get cross-eyed. So we could just kind of key this. This is our character on 1, the eyes. And then let's go to 4. Key that. Key that. All right, so for now we have the basics of the foots laid out. We'll do a third video maybe on polishing, but for now, that's the legs.